Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope you had a nice weekend. So, today we are going to take a look at another subject that I really enjoy, and that is the cosmos, outer space. And this is James Webb Telescope detected artificial lights on Proxima B. And so this should be pretty cool. I've actually always thought that if there was an alien civilization out there, that Proxima B would be one of the locations. I'm not sure if that's part of Alpha Centauri. Maybe it is. I'll have to look that up. If you know, let me know in the comments. But I think maybe a different star system, but it's relatively close. So if aliens were going to make it to the Earth, that would be a more likely location because of the proximity. And before we jump into this video, I just hit 500 subscribers on my channel, which is really awesome. And I did make a thank you video, so if you want to check that out, feel free. And this, if you can see my pointer right here, I figured out how to make my webcam window a little bit bigger, thanks to support from HitPaw. And so, yeah, make it a little bigger for you guys. And hopefully this is big enough that you can see me a little better, but not too big that I'm covering up too much stuff. But I can still move the window around, which is cool. So let's jump into this. Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the YouTube channel, My Mind's Eye, to go where no other channel has been before. I love Star Trek. Sorry, I just had to throw that in there. But let's do this.
Something weird has been happening in the solar system that's nearest to ours.
Okay,
Proxima
so
Centauri is just 4 light years away.
All right, sorry. So yeah, there we go. I thought it was the same star system, and it is. So Alpha Centauri, Proxima B. And this is a star system where we only knew that there was, I think, A, but we didn't know there was B until we had the telescopes to see it. But there's a tribe, little side note, tribe in West Africa called the Dogon tribe, and they're pretty primitive. I mean, they're still in huts, chucking spears, wearing grass skirts, and they claim to have been visited by beings from the star system, and now they have these ritual dances that are part of their religion, I guess, and they knew about this extra planet something like 3,000 years ago. So pretty interesting to think about. All right, let's start over.
To ours. Proxima Centauri is just 4 light years away, and scientists have been picking up some unusual signals from one of the system's planets, Proxima B. These strange anomalies, dubbed artificial lights, have been rattling the brightest minds in the space community, but what are they? And can this be an indication of intelligent life on the planet?
Could be. We might not be alone.
Is there a civilization next door? Well, it's definitely a possibility. In late 2020, a signal was discovered from the direction of Proxima Centauri, our closest neighbor star. Named BLC-1, the signal is still being analyzed to ensure it isn't just an echo of our own civilization, which is typically what they usually turn out to be. So, why don't we just directly look at planets in Proxima Centauri and see if civilization is there? Well, from space, the most obvious sign somebody lives on Earth is the glow from the night side of our planet. Our cities emit light that escapes into the cosmos. The problem is that our current generation of telescopes is not powerful enough to see lights on distant worlds. But several researchers are testing the capabilities of the next generation of telescopes already on the drawing board. That's right, we're looking at you, James Webb Telescope. What were the findings? Yes, if advanced enough or glowy enough, we would be able to see if another civilization has the lights on at Proxima Centauri. The possibility of technosignatures at Alpha Centauri has a new study on the detectability of these artificial lights on Proxima Centauri B. From what we know, the planet is in the habitable zone, roughly similar in mass to the Earth, and of course, it orbits the nearest star, making it a world we can hope to learn a great deal more about as new instruments, especially the James Webb Space Telescope. The new study also points to LUVOIR, or Large UV Optical IR Surveyor, a multi-wavelength space-based observatory with a possible launch in 2035. Authors Elisa Tabor of Stanford University and Avi Loeb of Harvard point out that a tidally locked planet with a permanent night side would need artificial lighting to support a technological culture. Coincident for civilizations developing around neighboring stars are pretty unlikely, making this one of the longest of long shots. On the other hand, a civilization arising elsewhere could be detectable through its artifacts on the worlds it has chosen to study.
Now, are they saying that Proxima B is tidally locked? I didn't quite catch that, if it was saying that's the case or not, or that would be if it was tidally locked, that would be one way of seeing all the light emitting from the civilization that's on that planet. But this sounds kind of too like this is talking about this before James Webb launched into space. I don't know, maybe we'll see further in the video, but as we all know, James Webb is already in space. It's taking pictures, and it's taken some beautiful pictures, and ones that obviously show the bump in technology from Hubble and are clearly better pictures that have been taken, but between that satellite and the Hubble.
There are several ways to tell alien technology exists on another planet. For example, we may be able to see the light of a distant world waver with a massive constellation of satellites. You know, the same stuff that's happening on Earth as well, with the increasing number of satellites that we push out into orbit. Atmospheric pollution may be detectable from nuclear conflict. Sound familiar? While these indications of technology could also be caused by natural phenomena like orbiting debris or a comet impact, artificial illumination is distinct from the natural light of stars. Previously mentioned researchers Elisa Tabor and Avi Loeb took the Webb for a virtual alien light hunting test drive last year. But since it isn't fully functional as of yet, the results were a bit janky. The virtual JWST is trained on Proxima B, the one confirmed planet in the Proxima Centauri system that could presumably host a civilization. Located 4.25 light-years from Earth, Proxima B is a rocky world in the habitable zone of the M-class red dwarf star Proxima Centauri. That's just a mere 12% the mass of our Sun. Proxima B is heftier than us at about 1.6 Earth masses and 1.3 times our radius. It orbits Proxima Centauri in just 11.2 days at a distance of 7 million kilometers, only 5% of the distance at which Earth orbits the Sun. Tabor and Loeb scaled artificial illumination as a fraction of the solar illumination reflecting from the day side of our planet. 0% on this scale would assume that the night side of the planet is completely dark. 100% means the night side of the planet is as equally bright as the day side, which also isn't a possibility. The The type of light used by the hypothetical civilization on Proxima B is assumed to be similar to LEDs on Earth, which have distinct artificial characteristics. So, what have we found out so far?
And I think civilization. All right, now this would only be a civilization that would be capable of interstellar travel, would probably have technology for lighting that is far beyond an LED. But if they were similar in their development to the human race, that would LEDs would probably be on par with, their version of it with what we have. And what he was saying too, 11.2 days for an actual revolution around their sun, an orbit, full complete orbit around their sun. That's extremely short, and only 7 million kilometers away, as opposed to Earth, which is 93 million miles, not kilometers, but miles away. So we're definitely much further from our sun. But I believe the fact that Proxima Centauri is a red dwarf, that the fact it allows the planet to be in a closer relation to that star because it's a red dwarf. And so that would be considered the Goldilocks zone for that planet, which any planet in terms of our standards of finding life, carbon-based life form, would have to be in that Goldilocks zone for water and atmosphere and everything that Earth needs, or planets like Earth, to support life.
Well, if the artificial night-side illumination of Proxima B reaches 5% of the natural day-side illumination, the Webb could detect the artificial light with an 85% certainty. If artificial illumination were to reach 9%, Webb's detection rate would rise to 95%. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. 5% illumination doesn't sound like much, right? Well, we are talking about the light from a star.
Right.
As faint as Proxima Centauri is compared to our sun, which is about 20 times dimmer, that's almost like placing a firefly next to stadium lights. But even that much at a cosmic level is still a lot of light. By comparison, Earth's artificial illumination is only 0.001% of reflected stellar illumination. In other words, if Proxima B hosts a civilization as lit up as us, the Webb wouldn't be able to detect it. Those lights would need to be 500 times brighter.
Wow.
That scenario is plausible. Proxima B orbits so closely to its host star that it may be tidally locked, as we've mentioned before, with one side of the planet always facing the star, while the other is in perpetual night. The civilization on a tidally locked planet will probably need to focus on its lighting infrastructure and could use very bright orbital mirrors to reflect sunlight onto the night side of the planet, which could be seen by our telescopes, but that's of course just a hypothesis. Tabor and Loeb's research indicates that other future telescopes, such as LUVOIR or Large UV Optical Infrared Surveyor, may be even more capable than JWST at spotting the glow of a distant civilization. Just a few days after the researchers' publication, Thomas Beatty of the Department of Astronomy at the University of Tucson justified that with those numbers. Beatty reviewed both LUVOIR as well as HABEX, or Habitable Exoplanet Observatory, to understand how these telescopes will detect city lights not only on Proxima B, but also on planets orbiting stars out to a distance of 30 parsecs, or PC. 1 PC is about 3.26 light-years. Both LUVOIR and HABEX have missions to catalog and directly image exoplanets that are scheduled to launch in 2035. So there's a long way to go before that. Beatty used virtual LUVOIR and HABEX observatories on several star systems with known worlds like Proxima B, as well as hypothetical Earth-like worlds orbiting G, K, and M-class stars. Beatty also scaled a percentage of the planetary surface which was urbanized. The more urbanization, the brighter the planet's night side. The type of artificial illumination in this model simulates the most common lights on Earth, high-pressure sodium streetlights reflecting off concrete surfaces, which also feature a spectrum distinguishable from natural starlight. So the variables are A. Distance from Earth, B. The planet's level of urbanization, and C. The type of star the planet is orbiting. In each scenario, the virtual scopes are imaging planets for a minimum of 100 hours to collect enough light streaming through the void to resolve the target.
Next-gen technology.
The Earth's surface is only about 0.05% urbanized. Our telescopes wouldn't be able to see us if they were peering from Proxima Centauri. A greater percentage of urbanization could help us see a distant civilization more clearly, like, say, 100%. But what exactly is 100% urbanization? That's something called an ecumenopolis. An ecumenopolis is a city-planet, a world where the entire surface is covered in one giant city. I know, it sounds super science fiction. The best part, though, is that there are already several examples that exist, like the Republic/Empire capital of Coruscant in Star Wars, or the ecumenopolis planet type in the space strategy video game Stellaris. But more than a nerdy sci-fi concept, it's probable that an advanced civilization could completely encase their world in an unending urban landscape. So, how visible would that world be? Beatty modeled the results and found that future telescopes would be capable of detecting ecumenopolis worlds around 82 stars near the Sun. That's a lot of space. This means if somebody out there is shining that brightly, we may be able to see them in the coming decade. Fingers crossed on that one.
I think also, too, it would be really cool to see basically a city planet, but I don't think I could live there, at least not if I had the capability of, or I had the access to the interstellar travel. I would be like maybe a second home or a vacation home or something, or someplace just to go visit, because there's going to be a lot of commerce there and probably cool stuff to do. But I don't think I could live there because I need to touch some grass. I need to see some trees, have some sort of connection to nature. And I've actually lived in a big major city, Los Angeles, for many years. And where I lived, it was just nothing but concrete. And being locked in from all sides in a concrete jungle with all the noises and the traffic and soot and just everything. I don't think people are meant to, at least human beings are not meant to live in that environment all their lives. I think we do have some connection to actual nature in the planet. And I do think you see a lot of people that live in cities where it's just concrete everywhere and traffic and electric line noises and all that, with no access to trees or anything like that. I think people do become irritable, and it does affect our physiology to be constantly in that environment. So let's continue. An alien beacon.
We aren't done yet, though.
Oh,
Our
good.
super researcher Beatty has more in store. Her work demonstrates that close-ranged red dwarf stars provide the best chance for detecting urban worlds, meaning Proxima B is currently the prime target. Detecting an ecumenopolis version of Proxima B would be easy for next-generation telescopes. We could detect just 0.5% urbanization on the planet, which is still 10 times more than Earth's present urbanization. Here's the thing, though. The current city growth rates put Earth at 0.5% within the next 100 years, which literally is a blink in cosmic time.
Mm-hmm.
If an alien civilization does exist, it might have already reached this level of urbanization, assuming that they are long-lived. So, we don't actually know that technological civilizations are long-lived. That's one of the reasons why we do SETI, or Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. Finding someone else shining in the void means there's more hope that we can keep the lights on too. Who knows? Those lights might just be an alien beacon asking for help. We'll get to know
Help
sooner
me.
or later, but we'll keep our eyes peeled.
And yeah, it might assuming that these different civilizations are long lived, but that's also assuming that these beings have the same nature as human beings, human nature. Whereas it seems like the more technology and progress we make, as awesome as it is, and it's made us become closer, and more it feels like disjointed as a race of beings. And if it was maybe 1,000 years, if humanity might not be here because we might blow ourselves up, but that's assuming, like I said, these other civilizations are just like human beings in our nature. So I do believe that there are alien civilizations out there. I couldn't tell you where. If you spend any amount of time thinking about the vastness of space, how big it is, literally what we've seen is just 5% of the observable universe. So 5%, which is a sliver of the entire universe. And in that 5%, the space is so vast. It's just absolutely mind blowing to think of it in terms of anything that makes sense to our brains to try to compute it. It's like trying to think of something that exists without a beginning because our brains want to think of something that just has a beginning. And so we keep going further back and further back and further. And so trying to think of something that doesn't have a beginning is almost going to short circuit your brain if you think about it long enough. And so thinking about the 5% of the observable universe that we have seen so far, to think about how vast that is, I think it would make your brain fizzle out to actually truly think about how big that is. And in that 5%, we're talking an innumerable amount of galaxies. It means you can't count them all. They just estimate it in the trillions. And in those trillions of galaxies, in each galaxy, there's trillions and trillions of stars, and those stars all have planets. So to think that we are the only beings in an innumerable amount of galaxies and planets, I think is pretty arrogant on our part. Now, that may very well be the case that we are the only ones, but I think it's arrogant to think that we are, and I don't think that we are. In fact, I think aliens have come here, and there's not just the recent UFO sightings, but you can see that there's been these sightings for hundreds of years, and there's pictures of people have painted them into paintings, like representations of these UFOs going back 300-400 years. It's really crazy when you start discovering these things. So I'm excited. I hope we make some sort of contact with aliens in my lifetime. I'm not sure that I'll be alive by the time that happens, but Ronald Reagan once said in a famous speech to the UN, he said, "I wonder how quickly our differences would disappear if we found there was threat from outside our planet." And I don't think it needs to be a threat in order to bring us all together. I think just the understanding that we're not alone in the universe could bring us together as one species, one race of human beings, the human race. But I think it'd be very exciting to have that happen, because it would have to reorient human consciousness and perception of how we view ourselves in the cosmos.
So, what do you think is causing those lights on Proxima B? And how early do you think the Webb and other future telescopes will provide evidence? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching Space Rumor.
Thanks, Space Rumor.
Something
So, thanks, Space Rumor. Appreciate the vid. Now, James Webb Telescope is a huge upgrade from Hubble, and it is really a engineering marvel and technological achievement of human beings. But I don't know if it's quite advanced enough to see civilization on another planet, even from the artificial light. I think it's probably gonna be the next generation where, like he was talking about the narrator, before we actually see that. And so it looks like they're planning something in 2035, and that would be pretty cool too, a space station or observatory in outer space with the latest gen technology to look at other planets. And so it is a very exciting time to be alive, and hopefully it happens in our lifetime. So I want to say thank you again to everybody who stopped by and watched my video. Appreciate your time, and you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.